Today, there are a lot of updates from the Chernihiv direction, northern Ukraine. The most interesting updates come from the border village of Mkhy. Ukrainian fighters eliminated 5 high-ranking Russian Special Forces officers who conducted a covert reconnaissance operation in Chernihiv Oblast and halted a potential new offensive front in northern Ukraine. Here, a group of Ukrainian volunteer fighters destroyed a group of most elite Russian Special Forces soldiers that were conducting reconnaissance. The Chernihiv Oblast has not experienced significant combat operations since the Russian withdrawal in 2022. However, the Russian command has decided to explore the possibility of conducting operations in the area, particularly around Semyonivka village. The Russian offensive in Kharkiv Oblast slowed down and failed to meet its intended goals. Consequently, the Russian command might have considered launching another offensive in Chernihiv. In the Semyonivka area, a squad of 6 Senesh special operators moved near the village of Mkhy to assess the condition of the nearby road and gauge Ukrainian strength in preparation for a potential Russian offensive towards Semyonivka. The heavily forested terrain provided cover, allowing them to avoid detection as they conducted their reconnaissance. Unfortunately for the Russians, they were spotted by a Ukrainian drone, which relayed their position to a nearby Ukrainian reconnaissance battalion. The Ukrainian fighters quickly moved in and engaged the Russian special forces. The Russian saboteurs, outnumbered and overwhelmed by superior Ukrainian firepower, were forced into a short-range battle where small arms fire was heavily utilized. The Russian fighters were located far from each other and relied on stealth and their concealment that was blown, so they were caught by a complete surprise. Because they were far from each other, the Russian fighters were quickly isolated and cut off because of very fast Ukrainian coordination. In response, the Russian special operators called in artillery fire from the Bryansk border area, hoping to suppress the Ukrainian fighters and facilitate their withdrawal. However, the Ukrainian counter-battery fire managed to deliver several accurate shots, damaging 1 Russian artillery piece and forcing the remaining Russian artillery units to flee the area. As a result, the Russian special operators were left without fire support and were ultimately overpowered and eliminated by the Ukrainian fighters. After the destruction of special operators in Semyonivka, Russian sources confirmed the event and provided information about their identification and ranks. 5 Russian Special Forces operators were killed. All of them were officers, and among them were 3 majors, 1 captain, and 1 senior lieutenant. Additionally, the Ukrainians from the northern group of forces released footage showing the destroyed Russian saboteurs and their equipment. The Russian saboteurs had used camouflage on both their weapons and clothing to conceal their movements. All firearms were equipped with suppressors and scopes, and their radios had extended antennas for long-distance communication, indicating their isolated and distant operation. The death of 5 operatives has been confirmed through footage of their bodies, which are currently under investigation, while the body of the 6th operator remains unaccounted for. Overall, Ukrainian fighters managed to thwart a Russian incursion into Chernihiv Oblast and destroy 5 highly trained Special Forces irreplaceable officers. With the Ukrainians learning about the Russian plans for an offensive in the Semyonivka area, any potential element of surprise was eliminated. This revelation could force the Russians to significantly reduce their activity in the region for an extended period or even cancel the offensive altogether, given the failure of their critical intelligence gathering operation. In May, Ukrainian military observer Konstantin Mashovts reported that Russia had amassed 31,000 troops in Belgorod Oblast for the Kharkiv offensive. Additionally, he noted that Russia had deployed 10,000 soldiers in Kursk Oblast and 8,000 in Bryansk Oblast, both of which border Ukraine. The Bryansk Oblast of Russia directly borders the Ukrainian Chernihiv Oblast, making it likely that the Russian command has amassed well over 8,000 troops there for a potential offensive since May. Preparations for such operations required the Russian command to deploy special forces on reconnaissance missions in the village of Mkhy in the Semyonivka area. These missions aim to identify ideal locations for force concentrations, potential logistics routes, and a new axis of attack. The task of this combat mission was assigned to a group of at least 6 Special Forces operators from the 322nd Senesh Special Operations Center. These Russian special operators are among the most elite and highly trained soldiers in the Russian army, comprised solely of professional contract soldiers with years of service. They have undergone rigorous special forces training to achieve their elite status. Russian special forces operators undertake combat tasks that include sabotage, reconnaissance, subversion, sedition, guerrilla warfare, intelligence gathering, and the assassination of high-value targets. These 6 operators, in particular, are from the 122nd Senesh Special Operations Center, where they receive training in skydiving, mountaineering, military diving, and storming buildings. In total, the Russian army has around only 2,000 Special Forces operators, and they are strategic assets whose presence in Chernihiv implies large and significant operations in the phase of preparations. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces fighting in the devastated eastern Donetsk region have reportedly made slight gains around the town named for New York, just north of the Russian-captured fortified settlement of Avdiivka and the key city of Donetsk. The latest battlefield maps published by the Institute for the Study of War, ISW, on Monday evening showed that Kyiv's troops recently regained lost positions near Toretska. And Russian forces recently advanced near Toretska and Avdiivka, reflecting the bloody, but minimal, territorial bartering taking place on the Donetsk front.